listening to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast.
And welcome back, Leatherhead Nation. We are back at the kitchen table. Welcome to the Gettin' Salty Experience podcast. This is the only one in the whole wide world that brings the FDNY Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. We got a humdinger tonight, Roofy. We got
humdinger, huh?
What's a humdinger?
How do you like that word? I don't know. Bobby, Lieutenant Rocco knows what that means. A humdinger. He's laughing. We got a humdinger. We got two guys who've been on before. We don't even have it in the backstage because there's no room for backstage, Pete, right?
No, they can't back there.
No. But before we started, I wanted to ask Bobby G, what did you used to call us? I know we said it before.
Little yellow friends.
My little yellow friends. And just for that occasion, boys, come in here. These are my two little yellow friends right here. My two little Asian boys.
Little cubes.
Scared.
All right, little Asian boys, go away now.
Wow.
Those are my two little.
All right, well, it was a pleasure knowing you guys for the last year. And
now that the YouTube channel is being shut down, we appreciate everybody. And you can find us now at rumble.com.
Oh, I was just going to say, I like it on the top row, but, that'll be pulling the plug on us.
All righty, but let's get this one started because we got a lot of fire stories. We got a lot of Rescue 2 stories, some 176, some Brooklyn stories, some fire stories.
Wait. Before you start,
go.
Whoever out in the audience mentioned my wife's curtains the last time I was on, I just want to say thank you very much. It cost me thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars for plantation shutters in both my houses. Keep your opinions to yourself, bro.
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's
I don't tell my wife anything about my curtains when they make fun of them. I don't say nothing.
Now,
come on, man.
Dude, you're talking about curtains. You're sitting there in the Oval Office. It looks like
come on, man.
Thousands of dollars.
We're on a fixed income, for God's sakes. What are you going to do?
Paycheck to paycheck.
To the guy who said anything about those curtains,
You dick.
there you go. That's the end of it.
All right, Pete. Let's get how we get paid here. Let's give a little shameless plug.
Right. Well, everybody, you guys know the deal by now. GettinSaltyApparel.com is how we do business around here. So, GettinSaltyApparel.com, you get hats, you get t-shirts, you get hoodies, you have all kinds of wonderful accessories, pint glasses, shot glasses, lighters, all kinds of fun stuff, cigar cutters, all the stuff you guys like and need, and it's all, of course, firefighter themed. So get it for your firefighter friends and family. And if you guys, just a quick word on that one more time, if you need anything laser engraved, get it done now. Don't wait till 2 days before Christmas because that shit ain't getting to your house. All right, so there's that. GettinSaltyApparel.com. Also, guys, got any questions for the legends, and that's not me for sure, hit us up in the super chat or just throw us a few shekels in the super chat as well. We appreciate all the love there. As always, my kids get to eat every time you cha-ching the super chat, so thank you very much. And that's everything, guys. Boom.
You ain't gonna get this kind of fire duty sitting at any kitchen table, fellas. So,
but you know what? There's one more thing we got to do before.
You got to do the pledge. You got to start the pledge first.
Ready, guys?
Do it.
All right, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America.
And to the republic.
And to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Amen, brothers.
Nice.
Amen.
Nice. It makes me proud to do that, man. I really am. Like that's gives me the feels every time.
Sealy commented. He said, "There's a lot of five heads on that show."
Yeah.
Who's he talking to?
He's got good hair, though. That's the only thing he's got. He's got
good hair still.
Yeah, he still does.
Nice.
Bill, never forget that he's got white hair. He walks in one day. He must have done the Just for Men. Now he's got nut brown hair. And he walks in like nobody's gonna notice anything, right?
They're not gonna know,
dude. I'm like, really, dude? Like you think nobody knows?
That was awesome. I remember that. That was awesome.
All right, you know what we didn't do? We didn't do a word of the day, fellas. So maybe we should let our guests pick the word of the day for tonight.
Because it's all you. Go ahead.
Let's go with
curtains.
Vintage.
Len Fittich.
Len Fittich?
Nice.
Is that the word of the day?
That'll be the word of the day.
Fittich.
All right, I'll put that up right
Put
now.
that up there. Yep.
All right. One of my favorites.
I'm
All right, so look,
hopefully spell it correctly.
both of you guys, from what I remember, I should have really watched the both of the podcasts individually to catch up. But you both guys came from 176, right? Correct?
By different routes, but yes.
Different rounds. Who got the 176 first?
That would be me.
So you were at 170. That guy over there? This
Yep.
guy over here.
That guy. I got to point that camera here. Okay,
That
there.
guy over there.
Over there.
So you got to
I was
106.
assigned to the Tin House at a Kobe school.
Oh, you what? And where were you assigned to, Rocco?
318 engine in Coney Island.
Oh, so you made
That's right. He was
the
only
trek.
stayed there a short time. I think you went to
Did
the
you
truck
guys-
there. Then.
Well, yeah, I was in Coney Island for 4 years, like a year and a half for the engine, 2.5 years in the truck. And, like the firehouse in those days, Bob will back me up on this. There was a few things. There was no Needleman system. They had a fan that didn't work. It's funny, when you were in the firehouse, it kind of smelled like smoke and rubber boots and diesel fumes. What else? We had horizontal, they weren't mechanical doors. You had to like manually push them open and then put them back after a run. So, getting out of quarters fast. We got out as fast as we could, but we're a little delayed because of the doors. There were other things too, like guys would
55 turns for the mechanical to fuel the rig.
To fuel the
55
rig.
turns for 5 gallons.
Another
Oh.
thing, guys
never
aren't
heard
going to
that.
believe this.
I never
Guys
heard
aren't going
that.
to. Guys aren't going to believe this, and Bob will back me up. The chauffeurs used to change the oil in quarters. There was no. You didn't go to PMP, and I know the truck. Tony Asaro was telling me took 37 quarts of oil. So you kind of went out of service, but you were back in service as fast as you could, and
I didn't know that either.
I
yeah.
never heard of that
Yeah,
before. So the chauffeurs would change the oils in the
Well,
rig?
the chauffeur
Go
was supposed to change the oil, but it was usually the junior man who climbed up underneath and unscrewed the oil filters.
Right.
But basically, it was done in quarters by the men.
Never knew that, man. All these shows that we've done and never heard that before. That's amazing.
What'd you do with the 37 gallons of or quarts of oil? What the heck did you do with that?
Oh,
Yeah, there was
I wouldn't know, but allegedly it was
Could have been in the sewer.
they had a drum. They had a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah. Allegedly is right.
Yeah.
But like I said, 55 cranks to get.
I never
5
heard that
gallons.
either.
5 gallons of diesel.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had to be Proby's job.
Again, junior man was over there getting large arms.
Didn't need no gym, man. You had to
No,
crank.
we didn't have one. We had some plates. Mike Pagano used to lift manhole covers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not going to say what street was missing two manhole covers.
Did you know each other before you got to 176? Never knew each other.
We met once I transferred to the Tin House. I went to 176 in January 85 out of there. One thing, Bob will, not just another old school thing going back, Bob will tell you, I'm sure 232 had this, the crew cab windows, to operate the windows, there wasn't even a crank. Nowadays, it's an electric window. They had these leather straps that you pulled up, and there was like a toggle that, went on there, and that's how you got the windows up and down.
I do remember seeing that when I used to go. My father was a fireman. I remember seeing that in the firehouse.
Yeah.
And then you would lift the engine compartment to get heat in the back.
Right.
Yeah, there's no heat in there.
And AC in the summertime. Didn't make
Yeah,
sense.
no. I mean, did you ever have even up until recently? They had AC, but they never worked. I mean, never. Very rare did they. I don't think I ever worked with air conditioning. Never. Maybe one day when we first got the new rig, and then it shit the bed, and then that was it. It never worked good.
Maybe a week if you were lucky.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. That was it. It was never, and that was in December.
Actually, we're going to jump ahead to a story.
Go ahead. Here we go. Off to the races.
We had a brand new rig. Brand spanking new. Got delivered to Rescue 2's quarters. I'm going home from the night tour. I'm on my way up the stairs, and Ruvolo was a covering lieutenant, or maybe a captain. I'm not sure, but he wasn't a regular officer. And I hear him telling Rocky, "You're going to be the chauffeur today." I stopped on the stairs. And I'm like, "Hey,
I know where you're going.
You really shouldn't do that." And then I went upstairs, got changed. I went home. I come back in for the night
Oh, my
tour, my
God.
second night tour, and there's a spare rigging quarters.
What happened?
Finish
Okay,
the
wait.
story.
I'll finish the story.
He's like, all right, wait.
Okay, I'm gonna point to him over there. All right, we had this rig. It was that HME rig. It was
Yes.
the big, it was
The
a real
slinky.
big rig. Yeah, the slinky rig. So, like when I first got to 2, we had this American LaFrance with a Salisbury box. It was like driving a car, had a transmission retarder on it, was very fast off the line. It's like driving a Volkswagen. Then in 1991, we got a 90 Mac. The next size, that new generation of rescue rigs, was pretty big, but eventually, like, I drove once in a while. Maybe in my time there, 12 or 15 tours, because there was no one that would drive, so I drove it. And I never hit anything either. One time we did lose the brakes, but that's a whole nother story. So anyway, now we get this new thing in the firehouse. I'm looking at it. It's like looking at a brontosaurus. It was friggin' huge, right? And Bobby first thing turns to me.
And shiny.
Shiny. Bobby goes to me, I don't want you driving the rig. I'm like, cuz. I said, I don't want to touch this rig. It barely fits in quarters. Keep in
It
mind,
actually barely fit.
yeah, our
Really?
quarters were built in 1898 for like a single steam engine
Horse
with a couple of
carriage.
horses. Yeah.
That's it, right?
So this thing is behemoth. So anyway, it's a Saturday day tour. Like Bobby said, he was getting off. So I remember I was working, Kevin O'Rourke was working, Davey Van Forst, and whoever else was working. And Ruffalo was Lieutenant Rescue 5 at the time.
Right.
And he's working this. He goes to me, you're driving this, that, the other. And he goes down. I said, Lou, I said, I never drove this rig before, and I'd really rather not. He goes, you got it. I said, all right. So now I go, I said, all right, let me get my gear on the rig. So I put my gear in the chauffeur's compartment. I pull out the mask. The mask is totally empty. There's not a wisp of air in it. I go, Jesus, look at this. So I go to change the cylinder.
Oops.
I pull the cylinder out. As I pull the cylinder out, Louis, you're gonna like this. This is exactly what happened. I hit 290 to Brooklyn, urgent. Give a second alarm. We got people hanging out the windows. I'm like, holy shit. So I just threw the mask in with a cylinder in the thing. I close it and I jump in the cab. Look, I don't even know how to start this thing. This is like 3 minutes after 9, So now, like,
I'm getting nervous already.
I find the Perco, I find the master, and I actually turn the roof on. I said, are the lights on? I said, I can't tell. She says, just go. So I make it out of quarters. I don't hit anything. I did good, right? I make the left on Bergen, the right on Lewis. We hit Atlantic Avenue in like 3 blocks. I turn onto Atlantic Avenue, and we're buzzing down there, And so now we come to the intersection of Atlantic Avenue and Eastern Parkway. And it's a red light to me. There's a couple of cars in front of me. So we had to come to a full stop. We're blowing them out of the way with the air horn. And on Eastern Parkway, that's where it bends. So the traffic's kind of going like north and south there.
Big intersection.
Yeah. So the traffic going south, all 3 lanes are stopped. I mean, going north, all 3 lanes are stopped. And going south, 2 lanes are stopped. And there's no other cars there. So I start pulling into the intersection from a stop. All of a sudden, Ruffalo yells. A guy shotguns around everyone, throws the pedal, he comes the front of the rig, and he actually, the posts on the front bumper with those mirrors. So
Yeah.
He sheared those two things right off the rig, and now he does like a 2 or 3
whirly bird.
360s.
Yeah, he's doing the whirly bird.
Yeah,
Nice.
And now we had to stop. We had to cut this guy out of the car. We missed the fire.
Oh.
It was like my worst tour in the fire department. Remember, Mike Quinn was getting off. He showed up just to laugh at me.
So why did they put on a service? If he only took the 2 little posts off, they put the rig out of service?
No. The rig didn't go out of service. But
I thought he said there was a
No. All the glass that wound up inside the bladder that ripped the bladders open, which now we had air leaks. The rig never was the same again.
One day.
One
Bob,
day.
One day.
One run.
One run. Missed the job.
First run. And now, no, wait a second. It's like the worst tour of my life now. So now, like, I'm like, it's 10 after 9 now. We're going back to quarters. There's some kind of a bullshit collapse in Bushwick. We're there like all afternoon. It's 94 degrees. I'm like, finally we get back to quarters and, whatever. The next time I come to work, Captain Downey was working at SOC and he came by just to see me. And one of the words out of his mouth, in those days, it was a $750,000 rig. Now I'm sure it's like a $2 million rig. It goes $750,000 rig, 5 minutes, you fuck it all up.
Please,
Go ahead,
Cap,
Bob.
please. Oh my
Remember
God.
the time you called Downey cuz? He says, I'm not your cuz. And you were like, oh, sorry, Captain Cuz.
Oh boy.
Cuz was a big word back then, right? In the 80s? I
Yeah.
remember that everybody was cuz back then.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah, especially in the tin house, everybody was cuz, right?
Do you,
Oh, speaking of the tin house, let's
Tin house.
Petey, bring out the
cards. The
yeah,
card.
this is the most
Hold on.
important thing. This was the funniest thing.
Okay,
do you
stand
guys
by.
remember the first time you worked with each other in 176, or you don't? Or the first job you went to together? Was it?
I just remember telling the buff to give you one of them hats.
Yeah, that was you. Okay, I remember that. Okay, that's a tin house membership card. Everybody has one, and what does it say on the other side of the card? There you go. Award-winning companies specializing in structural fires, rescues, marriage counseling, divorce actions, unrelenting ball breaking. Believe me, there was a lot of ball breaking there. Able to leap tall buildings, sometimes hospitality at its best. There's the firehouse number. So,
But go back to the front, Petey. I saw BMA on there too, right?
Best
Brother
man
My Ass.
available.
Oh,
Oh,
I thought it was
Brother
Brother
My
My Ass.
Sometimes. Sometimes that's what it meant.
Of course.
it means whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
my God.
Bobby, were you were there when it was the original tin house, right? When they shut it, was that you telling that story at the time?
We were already up in the new building.
Oh, you were. All right. Somebody was
Yeah, the
telling a
truck-
story that they said that he went on a run and they came back and
Bobby was telling us that story.
The truck moved up to the new firehouse in
Right.
June.
June
The following January,
88.
Super Bowl Sunday,
right.
they get a run. They got relocated to 207. So they jumped on the rig. They shoot down the 207. They get there, and the borough commander's like, yeah, park it back over there. You guys are done. You're out of service. What are you talking about? Like, you're done. Shutting you down. So that's the way they were treated. They put him in a van. They brought him back to the tin house. And Homer Bishop actually was waiting by the front door. We had changed the locks. It wasn't a 1620 key. We had our own lock, and they couldn't get in the firehouse. And by
I remember that.
doing this on Super Bowl Sunday, they were hoping to catch them with some sort of contraband in the
Right.
kitchen. A young gentleman, the guy who opened up the door, actually slammed the door behind him, pulled it shut, ran in the kitchen, might have policed up a little bit, allegedly. So
Right.
by the time he let them in, there was nothing that they could find. But, they were hoping, like I said, to catch them, and they would be able to keep them quiet. But that didn't work. Eddie Ball, God rest his soul, wound up throwing a chair at Homer Bishop the next day at the Rock. A whole bunch of things transpired. They were all given a choice where they wanted to go. And if that didn't work out, they were given a second choice.
All right.
And the rest is history. That was 1988. So
Wow.
it's that 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
That could
It's
happen
like-
tomorrow, the way things are going.
It will
Yeah.
happen.
What a scumbag move, man.
Koch
Yeah.
said it was the best thing he ever did.
Really?
Said it was the smartest thing he ever did, because other firehouses they went to close, people chained themselves to the front door, news coverage, all sorts of stuff. Here, they just sent them on a run, and that was it. It was over.
I remember he laughed about it, and like
Right.
2 months later, within 2 months, 1 or 2 kids got killed on St. Mark's, where 232 was the first to engine, and they weren't there to respond. And you call that penny wise and pound foolish. And
Yeah.
there's the city. It saved a few dollars, and some kid got killed. So
Well, we were just talking about that in the pre-show. Bobby was saying, 294 was the same thing. They closed them down, and then I don't even know how it was that week. A couple of kids died, and they
were adults. It was 2 brothers.
Oh,
two adults.
right. It was brothers, right? And basically everybody lived around there, formed got get some unity, and they were able to put some pressure on the city. And that's the only thing that's going to happen is you got to put pressure on the city.
They reopened up to 94, right?
Somebody in the chat wanted to know from Rocky about Tough Tony Adamo.
Captain of 176. Bob knows him well. He'll attest to it. Tough boss, incredible boss. As a matter of fact, when I went to Rescue 2, I remember I was there for a month or two, and Richie Evans said to me, he said, "Oh, what do you think of Captain Dowdy? He's a tough cap." I said, "That guy?" I said, "I worked with Tough Tony Adamo. This guy is a pussycat." Yeah. Tough Tony Adamo on a day tour, Bob, you'll verify this. If he found you lying down on a couch, he'd say, "Come with me. I got something for you to do. Empty the compartment, clean all the tools in the compartment, and paint the inside of the compartment." The compartments of 176 had about 3 inches of paint all over on the inside because it was painted so many times. Bob, is it true?
No, it's true.
It's true. You don't want to mess with them. One time we had a fire on Broadway. And it was one of those things, unfortunately, there's a police car on the hydrant. We turned the corner. There's fire coming out of a couple of windows. And there's, like a local, I'll just say, standing in front of the doorway of the fire building. It was like a 3-story tenement, like those, where the tracks are on Broadway. And he had his arm across the entrance door. And I don't know if he was high or drunk, but he wouldn't let us in. He was trying to say something. And Captain Adamo gave him one chance. He said, "Get out of the way." Guy didn't get out of the way. Captain Adamo took his officer's tool and, as hard as he could, hit the guy's arm. And I mean, must have broke the guy's arm. We just ran over this guy and up into the fire. And he did that without
allegedly,
bang.
Without even blinking an eye, bro.
No, he didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah. Those days are gone.
That name was well earned. Well earned.
Yeah.
I think he worked on the Lower East Side as a fireman. He was a lieutenant in 123. He was the captain in 176. I mean, he went to a couple of fires.
Yeah, a couple there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you get that moniker, right? Tough in the fire department, unless it's over the top tough. People might think it's tough, but if you get that in the fire department in New York, you are way ahead of what most people would think is tough, right? I mean,
and he was universally known as Tough Tony. It wasn't just a local little name for him. Everywhere you went, they knew. And he rode us hard, and he put us away wet. My first tour in 176, Adamo was the boss. We get a run. I got the can, 605, 1800. We off we go. I'm not gonna say what engine company it was, but they were kind of stuck a little bit. Engine 399, and Adamo's, he's yelling at me, take that line. Okay, so I get the line. I put out the whole ground floor. I go right to the back door. I had no mask on because our masks were in the compartment. He jumped off the rig and took off. I had to stay on him. I had a choice to make. I stayed on him. Now, to me, I just came from the engine to the truck. I just put a job out. I'm done, No, he's screaming, "Where's the can man? Where's the hook?" Now
you got to pull the whole. Now he wants you to pull the whole ceilings.
And he runs off somewhere else. Jimmy Burke was the chauffeur. He saved my life because he came in. It was tin ceilings. The hook was holding me up.
Gracious.
So Jimmy he pulled the rest of the ceilings, kind of left me there, hanging on the hook. Adamo comes back in the room. The ceilings are down, and now he's like, "Fine, pull the next room." He was trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And this was just a normal day.
And
right? Because
he expected a lot out of it. He got his money's worth.
What's that, Bob?
He didn't talk to you unless you had less. If you had less than 5 years, he grunted at you, he snarled at you, but he didn't talk to you.
Really?
Oh shit.
Yeah. But it was good. I'm glad that's the way I was brought in. The way I got broken.
No doubt.
How do you feel about you guys going to rescue then?
He was already a chief in Manhattan.
All right.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Did the Vidge come in right after him? Was that how it worked?
No,
somebody in between.
Williams was our captain after Adamo. Williams was our lieutenant. Adamo was the captain. Adamo got promoted. He went. Joe Williams slipped right in as the captain after getting going. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And then after Williams was our captain when we moved to the new firehouse.
Right, he wasn't in the tin house with us. He was a lieutenant in the tin house, even before me. But yeah, he was our captain when we were in the new house.
And then when he went, that's when we got Vigiano. But by then, Rocky was already out the door, and I already had one foot out the door myself.
Right.
Who got the 2 first?
Cuz
I did. It was like a secret mission. I went for an interview, but I didn't tell anyone in the truck. I didn't tell my mother, my father. No one knew because
you didn't tell me.
I didn't tell him. And actually, when I went, he turns to me, he goes, "Cuz, you didn't tell me." I said, "Cuz, if I didn't get it, yeah, you would have broke my balls." So I just kept it under wraps. And then when I went, and what happened was I think my first tour was like a Thursday night, and I went back to the firehouse to get my gear, and the guys hid my gear, and it was like my boots were in the pipes, like there was a high ceiling on the apparatus floor and the helmet and stuff. I remember Mike Healy, God rest his soul, he helped me find my stuff. And I remember Mike Penna calling me and said, "Where are you? It's your first night." I said, I got there like 10 minutes to 6, and but 176, great company.
Well, I was going to say, Peter, we got some pictures of 176.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got.
I mean, we might as well make the guy we're paying the guy. We might as well make him do something over there, right? I mean,
Pete does a great job.
Paying me?
There we go.
When does that kick in?
Oh,
okay,
yeah?
Nice.
I could tell you a little story about that fire. That fire is on Sutter and Stone. It's about 1985. I'm going up the aero ladder with the saw, second to truck. And what happened, once I got on the roof, I could hear 120's roof man, Mike Highland. He's giving a mayday. What happened was, you see how smoky it is? And you can't see where I'm going. It's a 3-story building next to it, just to on the other side of the aerial ladder. And the ladder was at a weird angle, just because there was so much smoke. I couldn't see the top of the building. He walked off the back of the roof. What saved him was he fell in a pile of garbage. And I got up there, opened up everything as best I could. And then I was about to abandon the roof. And who comes up? The cavalry. Jimmy Burke comes up the aerial ladder. So Jimmy stayed on the roof with me. Jimmy Burke and Bob will attest to it. He was the Mickey Mantle of our company, possibly the division. One of those just incredible firemen, always making the right moves. Very, very low key,
very quiet, very, he'd be standing on the turntable. We like to say, he'd be on the turntable looking. He had a cigarette in one mouth, cup of coffee in his hand, trying to decide which window he's going to go in. He'd go up, dive in the window. Sure enough, he comes out holding something.
Yeah, right.
You're like, "Jimmy, how did you know?" I've been here before. I kind of knew. That was just the way Jimmy was. He really, sweetheart, Superman, unbelievable, very quiet. We were blessed. We had him, and we had Kenny Memon. Those were our, 2 senior men. Very different in their approach on how they handled things, but both of them were absolutely the best.
We got that other picture, Petey, of where they were standing next to the rig 176.
That's Rescue.
That's Rescue 2.
Oh, hold on a second. Yeah. Sorry. Here we go.
Mikey Espo.
Okay. Yeah, this is after a job at Bushwick. That's Vinnie Brunton on the left. Unfortunately, he gave his life September 11th. He was Captain 105 at the time. Bob Nida, myself, and Larry Senzel, who eventually joined us in Rescue 2. Larry's not only a good man, he's a great man. I have a lot of respect for Larry.
When did you go? 80 what?
88. I went to Rescue 2 in December 88.
So you went 88. I went in 90, and Larry came in 91.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like the 3 Musketeers. We're kind of, close,
Plus, Mike Penna was there already.
Yes.
Frank Johnson.
Right.
So that was kind of a lot of guys from 176 would go.
And then
go over
a little bit of a pipeline.
After us, a number of guys came over. Chris Carey came over. John
Mark
Fowler.
came over, right? Didn't Mark go over?
Mark Gregory was 132.
Right.
Oh, he's 132.
Yeah.
How long was the process?
Oh, right.
Yeah. How long was the process back then? You have to go see Downey, and then, is it the same as it is today? You got to keep in contact with the captain, and then.
I actually went like April, and I was there in December. In those days, there was no municipal diver program, so he told me to go get a basic diving certification that I got from the YMCA. And as soon as I got it, he brought me over. So, that was it. And we only, as far as dive companies, it was just Rescue 1, Rescue 2, and then eventually a few guys and 5 came online. And then eventually it just went sock-wide in the rescues. But, Bobby will tell you that the suits, we shared suits. All the suits leaked. In the wintertime, if you were the primary or secondary diver, it was a disaster. You knew you were going to get wet. You knew you were going to friggin' freeze to death. So
that's
one of those things. I actually remember with the Hydroram, a car was in the water. I'm trying to force open the trunk, and the water was so cold that two things where my hood and auger, there was a little space, like 1/8 of an inch. It felt like someone was pressing a knife in my head. The water was so cold. Wow. And then at some point, my hands stopped working. Like I couldn't. I was trying to do it with my wrist. It was like just so cold, friggin' freeze over there. But you don't want to come out of the water. You don't want the guy. I'd rather freeze if the guys break my balls.
It's like another. Yeah, that's different pain. Like you'd rather take the physical pain than the mental.
Right. So the trunk got popped eventually.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh God!
When you first went there, Rocky, was Glenn there?
Glenn was gone.
No, I'm talking about Glenn Levitt. Was he there back then?
Oh, no, it's Glenn Fitting, but I'll give it
to work. There you go. Cheers.
I saw him.
I had to slip one in there.
Mama, you got me. I kind of picked that word on purpose to keep Buzz out. We don't want Bobby hitting that glass too often.
We don't want Cuz to get on a roll.
Right, we'll be here 4 hours.
That's right. I'm under strict orders.
Yeah, why do you say that? We finished up pretty early with his show, right? He got through.
Yeah, he hadn't even gotten to rescue yet.
We had to rush him a little. We had to push him a little bit.
He was 2.5 hours in. He was still in 176.
Give me the hook.
Holy shit, man! That's freaking funny.
Go ahead.
No, you
I have to say about Bob will attest to this. Our careers and where we worked and the time frame that we were there, it was. I really feel we were privileged. There was a lot of fires, a lot of fun, and you learned your job by doing it over and over again. I mean, right? Either one of us could go through a row frame like blindfolded, and know exactly where we are. So one of those things, the repetition.
I think I said this the last time I was on. You can make a mistake at 7:00 at night, and you fixed it at 8:30.
Yeah,
and you never made that mistake again because we were lucky enough to just go to that much work.
Yeah, and the other thing, Bob will attest to this too. Here's another ism out of it. But guys say, "Well, how busy was it?" And I tell them, like nowadays, mask service. They'll call you up in the morning. Do you need any bottles? No. Right. You need any bottles? No. However many tours or days go by, sometimes weeks for some companies. Rescue 2, back in those days, the mass service just showed up every morning.
Every day.
They changed out 6 bottles, 12 bottles. You do the math. 36 bottles, whatever it was we went through. And we were our own depot. And that was daily. So, like I say, the new guys out there that come on the job and new guys coming on the job, it's important. You read, you drill, do the in-company drills and things, but there's nothing like actually doing things. And, like I say, mistakes are okay. Number one, as long as no one gets hurt or killed from them. And number two, that you learn from them. Believe me, you make a mistake, you'll never do it again,
Yeah. Yep.
If you get the chance to fix it.
Right. Some It takes 6 months to.
Sometimes it'll take not only to be in that same situation to fix it. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to enough work. You got to catch a job to begin with, and then you got to be able to correct that mistake. But I wanted to ask you, Bob. You were talking about your senior man at 176, right? What a great senior man he was. So, how much time did you have when you left 176 to go to 2?
Me or Bobby LaRocca? Which one?
Bobby G.
I had 11 years.
Okay, so when you left Rescue 2, though, you were the senior man when you left Rescue 2.
I think when I retired, I was the senior guy in SOC.
Right. So
I had 18 years in Rescue 2.
Right. So being what's the difference with being a senior man in a place like Rescue 2 as opposed to being a senior man and even in a busy truck? Like, you have new guys coming in, but it's got to be a totally different thing when you're the senior man of Rescue 2.
I don't know about you.
I don't think so either.
You got to be fair. That. It's the same. I mean, you're aware of something's up, and it's how you handle it can make it go away, or it can become something that has to go upstairs. And that's the same no matter what company you're in. And your job was always to prevent it from going upstairs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your job was to cut it off at the pass and also in reverse. The boss might call you in and say, we got a situation.
I want you to handle this.
Or you got to go handle it.
Right.
And, I tried to be extremely fair. Very different from when I was a younger man and might have handled something a different way. And I did handle it a different way when I was a younger man. But you can't.
A lot of people do that too, right? A lot of people are that way. You get wiser as you get older, right? You get smarter and.
Well, maybe, but I would just, the guy would walk in. I'd be waiting for you. I'd either make a mutual, whatever. But I'd be waiting for you. You'd come in the kitchen, and I'd say, "Bro, come on, have a seat." And what happened? What made you do this? Right. Why'd you do that? Were there circumstances? Maybe he's half innocent. You don't know. I don't know. It was just I was able to handle. I had to do what I had to do. They respected me for it. I didn't abuse anybody with my privilege. If I had a detail, I took my detail. If I had roster staffing, I went. You try to lead by example. Other guys, hey, I'm staying. You take my detail. I'm driving tonight or whatever. I would always take my details. If I had overtime, the guys would offer to take my, whatever it was. Like, no, I'm gonna go. Plus, I got to go to these other places and break other guys' balls and
visit your little yellow friends. Visit us.
My little yellow friends. But hey, that's I told you that story. I fell down and I thought I was dead in 270 quarters. Never saw that step. But anyway, I mean, and again, in 176, Kenny Memon handled things differently than Jimmy Burke did. Jimmy Burke would take you in the corner, talk to you, counsel you. He was like your father. Kenny Memon, he was a lumberjack. He pulled up his first tour on a motorcycle. Nobody broke his balls, hey, cuz, come here. We've got to talk. The different approaches.
Now, cuz, just getting back to you mentioned details, taking a detail. I happen to recall someone, I think it was you could verify this. After Rescue 5 took all our boxes, like the 4-3 battalion, the 4-2 battalion, part of the 4-0, there was a detail to Rescue 5, and you jumped on it. And I said, why are you jumping on this detail? And you said, I got to do something. So now you came back the next day. I said, well, what did you do at Rescue 5? You said you opened up a note at late night.
Bro.
Can't say that?
Curtain comes down.
Okay. Can't say that. Secret.
Bro. On the mayonnaise jar.
Okay, Louis Coombs. I'll call you later.
Get the hook.
Hold in silence, bro. Hold in silence.
Did you see when that finally clicked in to G right there, bro? It was just like,
it was 25 years ago.
I thought we were friends.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
There's a quick question coming in from the chat here, though. Hold on.
Chat room.
Was there any tension at jobs? From Chris Burke, he's asking. Was there any tension at jobs when the squads and rescue turned up between engine and truck companies?
Was there
Tension
any-
between who and who? Between rescue and squad? Absolutely
Yeah, I think he's saying
not.
I think he's saying between SOC and the companies.
Well, every now and then somebody's feelings might have got hurt.
I actually had a little incident.
Uh-oh. Curtain's coming down again.
Wait, we got the curtain ready.
No, this one I could tell. I'm just gonna give you like a little background, and it involves, like I say, how you've heard me say in the past, and Bob will verify this. Like in the 80s and 90s, firemen were basically working poor guys. For many of us, our family car was our ghetto car. And Bob, I want you to tell us about that Jeep with the tombstone afterwards in the back that you had. But anyway, I was in Rescue 2, and we used to have this nice guy that would ride with us, good, very dear friend of mine and Bobby's, Sandy Williams out there. And went to this particular night. Sandy's working, and I'm working, and I see a couple of guys had these flashlights. They were these yellow, Black & Decker rechargeable flashlights. And now we go to a fire or two, and it's like a laser beam. And like I said, instead of the bullshit dollar flashlights that we used to have on our helmets, these guys are like, wow, I got to get myself one of these. So like, I said, Sandy, what are you doing? He goes, I'll get you a break on it. I get them because Sandy was in the hardware business. He said they're $35 each. So like I said, about being a working poor guy, I saved my money in my little coffee can in my locker, and I eventually, I accumulated $35, and Sandy got me the light. So anyway, I have this light, and at the time, it's probably the early 90s, Billy Carlson is a police officer. He's not on the job yet. Billy Carlson, who retired out of Squad 1. And he gives a 1075 from the police car for a fire up in Bushwick, somewhere far up down like Knickerbocker Avenue. And I remember Timmy Stagpole was working, John Kiernan, Mike Esposito, Lieutenant Connolly, myself, and I really can't recall who was driving. But anyway, 3-story frame. We get there, 112 and 124 in before us. I had the roof, and I went up to the roof, and I saw that, the first 124, 112's roof guys are doing their thing up there. So I dropped down the rear fire escape. I searched the 3rd floor. I get a good layout of what's going on in the apartment upstairs. So now I go on the 2nd floor, and I'm making a search the 2nd floor, and I have the light, and all of a sudden it gets really dark and really hot on me really fast. And now at this point, I drop this $35 light, and now like I'm crawling around and trying to find a light, but it's getting hotter. The place is going to flash on me because you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to leave the 30.
You can't give up the light. Don't give up the light, man. Don't give it up.
It got to the point I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I look down, I'm crawling back to the rear fire escape. And once I got to the kitchen, I stand up, and in the backyard is 124's chauffeur. It was this guy, Van Johnson. Everyone knew Van Johnson. He's still out there somewhere. Hey, Van. And he yells to me, goes, don't even turn around. The fire's like right behind me, chasing me out. I remember I dove out on the fire escape. I like rolled out, and the fire blows over my head. And I went scurry over to the ladder to go down to the 1st floor. And I get down to the backyard, and Van comes over. He starts hitting me in the head. My helmet, in those days, there was a lot of other places had this oil-based paint. So the oil-based paint that landed on my helmet my helmet was on fire. I didn't realize it. So now, like, I run around to the front. As I run around to the front of the building, Lieutenant Connolly, one of the toughest firemen out there, he stumbles out of the building, and he goes, you got to get in there. Espo's on the line by himself. So, like, when he said that, the chauffeur of one of the trucks, I'm just going to say, he hears it, and him and I run into the building together. So as we get into the building, we get in a few feet, and he stops, he turns, and he shoves me. And, like, he really caught me off guard. Like I said to myself, did that just happen? So like I get my composure, and I go to take a few more steps, and he turns around, and he goes to shove me again. So I clock him, bang, and I hit the guy right on the button, and he hits the wall, and his legs get like putty, and he goes to the ground, and I just leave. I just go to Mike Espo. So now Mike Espo is in the first floor over there. There's fire in the cellar of this place, fire on the first and second floor, and he's there on a 2.5-inch line by himself. So like it was one of those
That's
fires.
more crazy than you can imagine.
It was nuts. So I put out, we're trying to put out the back room first before we can move forward with the line. And as we get the back out, we start moving forward. The back is lighting up on us. It's one of those things. And now, the chief is ordering us all out of the building. So we come out of the building, and now there's this guy. He's in Lieutenant Connolly's face. He's going like, "What are your guys like? Yeah, punch me. This, that, the other thing." And so now I approached the guy, and I said, "Yeah, it was me, pal. What's going on?" So he wanted to fight. So I took my helmet. I threw my helmet. I went at him. He went at me. But now 20 guys jump in. They break us up, and we go home. About a month later, Danny Murphy, if you see Danny Murphy, we kind of look alike. Go ahead.
Time out. Murphy and Rocky with a hood on could be either one, could be the other guy.
Oh, is that right? They looked exactly the same. Yeah.
Exactly the same. So with
this can't be good.
So with the helmet on and the dirty face, we kind of look the same. So Danny Murphy, like I said, it's a month later, 3 weeks later, it's a day tour. He goes, "You're not going to believe what happened." He goes, "We catch this job in Bushwick there," and he goes, "I'm going to leave the building." And when they're throwing shit out the windows, you stand in the doorway and
you look up and say, "Is anybody throwing shit out?"
Right. You look at some guy outside, right, and you go like this. So he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "This one guy, he's a chauffeur from Ladder Company X. He's looking at me," and I go like this to him, and he goes to me like, where's the hand?
Yeah.
No. He's telling me, wait. And now he goes, "All right, come on." And he goes, I step out there. Someone throws a headboard out the front window and it lands and it hits Danny.
Shit.
So now Danny says it kind of clipped him, but it didn't hurt him so much. And Danny walks up to him, staggers up to him. He goes, what do I owe you money? And he goes, the guy looked at him and laughed and shook his head. I said,
"Who's the same guy?
Was that the chauffeur from Ladder Company X with the big mustache?" He goes, "Yes, that was the guy that I got in the fight with him in Bushwick." And he goes to me, "Hey, Rocky, he just got even with you."
Yeah, come on out, pal. It's all clear. Come on out.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
I did have a request for Rocky, a Rocky story. It was hey, ask Rocky tonight to tell the story when he beat up 3 bikers on the Verrazano Bridge.
Oh no, we can't tell that one.
No. All right.
It was only two.
Since he was willing to tell my story, I'll tell his.
It's nice.
Oh, now look at him over there. Gee, like this now. All of a sudden, he's got.
Now it's like this, right?
It's it was only 2 guys, but then one guy, kind of backed out, so it ended up 1-on-1. But
all right,
I'm still here.
What did you want to shout out Bobby G's government 2 minutes ago? Now
I was going to say,
Bobby, tell us a story about the post office Jeep that you had.
Again, like Rocky said, everybody's cars were getting stolen, batteries, whatever. I bought a post office Jeep. The steering wheel was on the right side. Yeah.
Come on, are you kidding?
The only thing that was in the car was the steering wheel and the gauges and my seat. Nothing else.
How much did you pay for that?
And I switched lanes, but I didn't do it. The wind hit it. It was so light, it moved it over. So down the block from the firehouse was an old tombstone place. We went down there, and one of the tombstones said "brother" on it. I'm like, that's the one.
Threw it in the back for weight. Oh my God, that's classic.
We put it in the back of the Jeep, so at least I had some ballast. Now Watkins Street. I mean, they have great tradition over on Watkins Street. I think it might have been Metal Day, Memorial Day, whatever it was. They must have had a bus on their way back. They're coming past. All I know is at 6 o'clock when I got off work, I walked outside, and my car was full of empty beer cans. Right to the roof.
To the top?
There was just enough room for me to get in this Jeep and drive.
Shit.
Because there was no locks. I mean, I had a padlock on the hood to prevent them from stealing the battery.
The battery.
But otherwise, why bother? Nobody's going to steal it.
Dude, how much you pay for that thing? You remember?
I think it was $300. It had 8,000 miles on it.
That's freaking far.
I lived
man.
in Brooklyn. It was 4.5 miles to work. And my car, actually, one of our senior men, Tony Asaro, he had just bought, there was a gas crisis going on. He had just bought a Honda Civic, and he was torturing me in the kitchen. Like, you're embarrassing us driving that thing. What's wrong with you? I'm like, hey, bro, it works for me.
You're embarrassing us.
Third run of the night, we come back. We get off the rig to stop traffic. I hear the air brake come on. The rig's not even in court. His Honda Civic is gone.
Oh,
and I remember
my God.
running down the block like, holy shit, nobody took my Jeep. I don't understand. The Captain Lieutenant Williams, they stole the battery out of his Volkswagen, and now he was the target because they knew he had a fresh battery. And
I got you.
Every other week, they're trying to break into his Volkswagen. They broke in the quarters. They broke into the parking lot. I mean, it was the way it was.
Well, like when they broke into quarters, I remember one time we had a run in the middle of the night, and we come back, and the house watchman goes, "Where's the TV?" And so I go, "What do you mean?" So he goes, "I was watching the TV. We had a run, and what happened was it was someone that was on the jail in those days with a 1620 key. You could get in any firehouse. Someone on the job from some unnamed company had some kind of a substance abuse problem, and he was going around doing all this, but he eventually got caught.
Putting the calls in so the guys would go out of the firehouse, and then he would go in and take the stuff.
That's why we changed our lock.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't have a 1620 key as the front door lock.
Yeah.
And that's why they couldn't get in there that night.
Yeah. Bob, did you want to tell the story about when you and me chased the guy down to the projects that was mugging the woman and made the arrest? You want to tell it from your end? What's the story?
So, again, you always set out in front of quarters, right? The greatest show on earth. So we're sitting on the back of a car, whatever. Rocky, myself, Hank Seagar.
And Paulie Beta was standing there.
Whatever. What was it, like 10:30 at night or whatever? When we could see this woman, older woman, walking up the street, church woman. She's on her way back from church, and some skell. I mean, we saw him walk by us. He kind of like punches her in the chest and snatches her chain at the same time, and he takes off.
No, wait a second. Now, what happened was we were sitting on. It was your car parked on the corner. We were sitting on the trunk. And what happened was he grabbed the chain, and we heard her moan, and we turned around, and now he's punching her in the chest. The woman was like 75 years old, and he's trying to grab a bag, and he's punching her in the chest. And you and me, this is like 15 feet away from us, if that. And you and me now take off after him, and he runs down Rockaway Avenue across.
So it's downhill.
Yeah,
running towards 120. It's downhill. Now, I'm not the fastest guy on earth. Maybe I got my head out in front of me, got a little, that weight.
A little aerodynamic.
But at any second, I'm expecting these guys to pass me, and they never pass me. I don't understand what's happening here. But as we get closer to the projects, in my head, I mean, we're 2.5 blocks away now from the firehouse.
We're on the other side of East New York Avenue and like St. Mark's over there.
The officer doesn't even know half his company's missing. And in my head, I'm saying, if this guy makes the projects, I'm coming to a stop. There's no way I'm going, past that line. And out of nowhere comes a civilian who happened to be standing on a bus stop, saw what was going on. He was like a square badge in the local pharmacy, whatever. He kind of like clips the guy. The guy spins. He goes down. And now we pounce on him. We've got him. He put up a little bit of a struggle. Hank, I think, mistook my leg for the Skell's leg because he was trying to twist it off my body.
Oh, jeez.
It was a pileup. So anyway, we've got the guy now, and we're bringing him back to the firehouse.
Well, wait a second. Before we brought him back to the firehouse, it's a hot summer Sunday night.
We're surrounded.
The guy gave us handcuffs. We got handcuffs on him. But now he's right in front of one of the projects at like East New York Avenue and St. Mark's. There's 40 people hanging out. Now they start like throwing shit, like let the brother go, let the brother go. And like, we got to, boogie. So we got the guy, we got him out of there. So we're going back to the firehouse with the guy. Go ahead, Bob. What happened next?
As we get up to the front of the fire, now the cops are there.
The lieutenant standing in front of quarters like, well, where are you guys? What happened, So the woman right away is like, well, I got my stuff back. I don't think I'm going to press charges. The guy might have, because of the way I had his arms up behind his back, he might have bent over and hit his head on the hood of my car.
Accidentally.
Left a dent. Had to go to the body shop, but that's a whole other story.
It was a piece of crap car, so it was no big deal, 1969 Volare or something like that. One of the many ghetto cruisers I had.
We need more of that nowadays.
Right. Well, that's it. There's rules. There was rules. There was consequences. Everybody knew the rules.
Consequences.
Everybody knew the consequences.
Oh, consequences, you
Yep.
say.
And the guy didn't moan about what just happened to him. He got caught. He knew what was happening. The woman eventually decided to press charges. Or the cops took him away. There might have been a dent in the hood of my car. No big deal.
Maybe.
That coincided with the dent on his head, but allegedly.
The whole facial imprint.
It was like the shroud of Turin.
Like today, you get fired.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh my God! Please.
You know what I mean? There would have been 50 videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And whatever. But the guy didn't complain about what happened to him.
Actually, that guy robs the woman. If he robs a woman today, he'd be out tomorrow morning. He'd be out of jail. He wouldn't even go to jail. Right.
The whole thing that always bothered me, though, is Rocky and Hank, both thinner, lighter, and faster. And they
never caught up to you.
They never caught me. So the way they explained it was like, I got a big head, and when I leaned it out going downhill, I picked up speed.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit.
That lieutenant never knew half his company was gone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Petey, we got a picture of a couple pictures from Rescue 2. Throw them up, please.
Oh, yes. Many photos from Rescue 2.
The one is the staircase. Put the staircase up. That's
okay,
cool.
I was going to go for the jab because these guys don't give a shit about the staircase. No, I'm kidding. Here he goes.
Hey.
I'm playing. There it is.
I remember those old creaky stairs.
They look freaky.
How many legends walked up and down those stairs? My God.
Yeah,
there was a lot of good men went up and down those stairs.
Yeah, Rescue 2, there was no pole, so when you got to run in the middle of the night, you heard all this, the boots coming down, the work shoes, down the stairs.
That's why we started sleeping in the kitchen.
I was going to say, I thought you guys slept in the kitchen most of the time.
When I first got there,
they did. Rocky always went up.
When I first got there, one guy would sleep in the kitchen. That was the guy on the watch. But it changed over to 4 guys slept in the kitchen. Whoever couldn't get a couch fast enough, he had to go upstairs, which then kind of like changed into sleeping on a lounge chair on the apparatus floor. Because, I mean, who was it? Was that Rock? Was that Dowdell that fell that night? Blew out his ankle?
Ooh,
Timmy Donovan. Timmy Stadpole used to go upstairs, and the one night we were like, you know what? We took all the beds. Timmy was going to have to sleep downstairs. And we got to run, and Kevin, as he was running down the steps, one of the bottom steps, he twisted his ankle, wound up breaking his ankle, I think, or severely spraining it. So that whole plan went out the window. And we were short a man the rest of the night.
I have a Rescue 2 story that involves the 3 of us. Well, me and Bob, and it was a new guy. And the new guy worked out. He was a great guy, good fireman and everything. But he's kind of like brand new in the company. He's kind of trying to make an impression. And what happened was, so it's a day tour, and I'm sitting in the kitchen by myself. The new guy went out to his car to get something. and I'm looking out, I hear something on the apparatus floor, and I look out on the apparatus floor. And, Rescue 2's quarters are very tight. And I look, and there's Bobby out there, and he has like a 6-foot hook or a broomstick, and he's poking around. Like, I look at what he's doing, and there's a squirrel running around on the Needleman system thing there. So what happens is he's chasing the squirrel around the apparatus floor. I'm kind of watching him, half paying attention to him. And now the squirrel runs into the kitchen. And in Rescue 2's kitchen, when you walk in the kitchen, on the left-hand side of the wall, there's 3 couches. And then when you get to the back wall, there's a 4th couch. And these were all the guys made these couches. So it's like a continuous thing. And it has up against the wall, there's like a 3 or 4 inch shelf that goes along the left-hand side wall and the rear wall that opens up by the back door. So now the squirrel runs into the kitchen. It sees me. It jumps up on this ledge and it runs along the 3 couches on the left-hand side of the wall, runs along the back wall on the couch, just as the new guy steps into quarters and through the back door. And as he stepped into quarters, the squirrel jumps on his right arm, runs across up his arm, across his back, and down the other arm. The guy screamed like a woman. I mean, I know the guy was trying to make like a good impression, and like it was kind of like timing. The timing couldn't have been better on that.
You couldn't have did that if you tried, right? You couldn't have done it.
Could have done it with Bob. Do you verify that story?
The same guy. He's in the kitchen. I go, listen, cuz, do me a favor. We're gonna go get Rocky. Meanwhile, I already told Rocky. Rocky's up. He's going to take a shower. I'm like, cuz, when you hear us coming, just open the door to the shower. And he's like, oh, okay.
I'm off duty, by the way, taking the shower, but go ahead.
So I got a bucket of ice water. The new guy's like, they let me in on the prank. We go up, we go in, and when you go into where the showers, it's a very narrow one-way.
I see where
trip.
this is going.
It's a dead end.
He pulls the door open to get Rocky. Never dawns on him that Rocky's soaking wet already. What's the big deal getting hit with a bucket? But the bucket wasn't for Rocky.
Yeah.
Boom! He took every drop.
And it's funny. I remember the look on his face when the synapse, that electrical, all of a sudden went, oh shit, this brain. And by that time, you hit a bang.
Yeah, like an eighth of a second ahead of time.
He's like, oh no, yeah.
Maybe a week later, I'm taking a shower, getting ready to go home, and I hear the pitter patter of feet coming into the bathroom. I'm like, he thinks he's gonna get me. And like it was a handheld shower head. I just held it over the top of the shower. Fuck you, Galione.
Bobby, tell a story about when you guys tried to poison me.
Whoa.
Well, we weren't trying to poison you.
Remember
before when Rocky said he saved up all his quarters to buy that
light? Yep.
Yeah, well, the way he got all that change was sweeping up in the locker room and going under the lockers.
And don't forget to go into the couch cushions.
Hey, listen, that's a benefit of doing committee work, right, Rock? That's how you do it.
Well, that's the whole thing. He didn't really do committee work, but allegedly. So we're making the meal and Rocky's missing. So we're like, okay, we're going to get cuz. We made an atomic meatball. Like, you ever watch the cartoons with the witch with the bump on her nose and she's at the cauldron and the smoke's coming out of the pot and the whole thing? This is kind of the meatball that we made. Danny Murphy actually took a tiny little piece, put it on his tongue. He had to spit it out. I mean, this one meatball was flaming.
Ghost peppers in it and everything.
Yeah. Oh my God!
On the side.
Ghost peppers
so now
are the worst, man.
We make the macaroni. We set all the plates up. Everybody's in on this, so we're all in the kitchen. Rocky's upstairs. We have all the plates set. This is Rocky's plate. We call dinner. Rocky has to sit down at that plate. He starts eating. We're all watching, and he's eating. He took 2 meatballs. He's eating the one meatball. Nothing's happening. So we're like, okay, when he gets to the other one, we're going to have a show. And with that, Rocky gets up and dumps the other meatball back into the pot. There's a knock on the front door. And this gentleman, he was in Rescue 1 up in Boston. Artie O'Leary, he was a legend up there.
Yeah.
From Staten Island. He shows up. He's got his son with him. They walk in the kitchen. We're all laughing.
Hey, you want a meatball?
Artie, well, his son's like, hey, Dad, I'm hungry. Is it all right if I take some food? And we're like, oh, no. Kid takes a plate of food, takes a meatball, takes the first bite.
Of the atomic meatball.
He's like, Dad, there's something wrong with the meatball. The hubby's like, you put it on your plate, eat it. You have to, if it was Pete Bondi, he would eat it. He made the kid eat the meatball.
Oh,
meanwhile, now we can't say a word.
And I'm looking, I don't know what's going on. I'm like,
that's cruel.
Oh my God!
With the kid at that point, the jig is up, man. You gotta.
The jig is up. Look at Pete swooping in.
Oh,
Jig is up.
Poor kid.
all right, let's take
All right.
spicy food back to the tin house. When I
Hold
first
on, Rock. Did you know you knew about the meatball? How the hell did you throw a meatball back in?
He didn't know about the meatball.
No, I
You ate
didn't
one
know.
meatball. Who eats one meatball? You're Italian.
No, they had like 2 or 3 on the plate.
Oh,
and I could only eat like 1 or 2 of them, and I put the other one back, and
Yeah,
that was it. But talk about hot food in the tin house. When I first went to the tin house, I had never really beyond like red pepper on a slice of pizza. I never had anything hot, and guys were into Tabasco sauce and things like that. And I remember like I would try it. Yeah, and to me, my taste buds weren't accustomed to it, and it seemed kind of hot. So now guys started bringing in hotter and hotter stuff. So I remember Hank had a relative visit from like Guyana or somewhere in South America. And he brings up, it was a little like jar of orange paste, and guys are sampling this. I remember in the tin house we had that long table that we sat at, and
the lunchroom table.
The lunchroom table that folded up so when we, swept and mopped, we get out of the way. So now guys all the way at the end of the table, they're trying this, they're spitting their food out, they're shoving their faces underneath the sink. And I'm thinking to myself, this is some kind of a joke, like for me. So now they pass, this ghost pepper thing gets passed to me. So like I take my fork, and on one prong of the fork, I put 1/8 of an inch of the, stuff on it. I put it in my mouth and I roll it around on my tongue. I'm like, oh, this isn't shit. But it had like about a 1.5 second delay. And now, seriously, the wax in my ears melts, my eyes are tearing. I'm pushing the guy that's at the faucet out of the way to get water out of my mic. It was that hot. So now Mike Penna, right? Bob, we all love Mike Penna, but Mike Penna has a little bit of a diabolical side to it. He goes, oh, this is great. So now I'm not going to mention the guy's name. Good guy, truck. I always liked the guy. And he would always come in at 4:30, and he would first thing walk into the tin house kitchen,
fish eyes,
which was our sitting room, and say hi guys, and go right into the refrigerator to get something to eat. So what happened was the next day, Mike and whoever else was involved, they emptied out the refrigerator of everything except for lunch. We had some chicken cutlets. Glenn Fittich, we're ready. We're having another one now.
Hey.
Glenn Fittich, whoa!
I was waiting to hear it.
Hang on. All right, that's my last. So anyway, everything gets thrown out of the kitchen except for lunch we had chicken cutlet parmesan, and Mike takes the cheese, lifts the cheese, slathers the stuff all over the chicken cutlet. Now puts the cheese back on. There's one plate, like a salad plate, with the one chicken cutlet on it, with cellophane on it, in the kitchen, in the refrigerator. So there's nothing in there but the milk, whatever else.
Oh, he's got to go for it. He's got to go for it. Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah, walks in. Hi guys, how you doing? Like, oh wow, chicken cutlets. And whoever says to him, yeah, we had it for lunch. It's fresh. Say microwaves it, and now he sits down to eat it, and we're watching him. What the TV's on, we're watching out of the corner of our eyes. He takes the first bite out of it, and nothing happens. I remember, the three of us, we look at each other like we all shrug, like what happened. However, by bite number 2, he got it, and he thought we poisoned him. I mean, the stuff was off the charts hot, So
that has to be like a ghost pepper type thing, or habanero, or some shit like that.
Oh yeah,
They have ratings now for that stuff, like the heat
right.
They in the millions. Yeah,
right.
It's crazy stuff.
Hey, there's a guy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I came into work at Rescue one day. I just picked up this one jar of pepper. It actually, the container looked like a stick of dynamite. Plus, I had a couple of cayenne peppers. I brought them in. They were all brand new. I put them on the shelf above the stove, and that was the day Paulie Solman attempted to burn down the whole firehouse.
Somebody just asked about that. Yeah.
Somebody asked if it was me. It wasn't me.
Said it was me, but it was Paulie. And what you have to understand is all of those peppers were involved in the fire. So when we tried to make the kitchen initially,
you had all the
my throat closed.
And your eyes, right.
Right. I had to run back to the rig to get my mask just to get in the kitchen.
That's crazy.
But I mean, some tours we did like the food to be extremely hot. It's almost addictive. Your synapses start kicking off. You start letting loose whatever chemicals to put it out. You're almost like getting high. Eating hot food.
I like
but
hot
that was
stuff.
I just happened to bring in all of those peppers that day. All days to let Paulie cook. And I know he's out there listening. I'm surprised he's not throwing any bombs our way.
That's funny. Hey, Bob, you want to mention about it? It was a Tin House tradition. If you're working on your birthday at some time during the tour, you're going to get a pie in your face. You're going to get ambushed. They're going to get you. I don't recall any officers ever getting a pie in their face. Maybe
absolutely.
They did. Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead. You want to expound on this?
Nobody was out of bounds.
Well,
what kind
Captain
of pie?
Damo.
Like
Captain Damo. No, I'm sure no one pied him.
Cream.
I think he was smart enough never to work on his birthday.
Like a whipped cream pie. But go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, shaving cream, whipped cream, whatever. Like one of the main guys who would get everybody. He must have had a list. He's at home changing a fuse on his car because they're leaving on vacation with his family and his 5 kids. And he looks up and there's 3 guys standing over him, with pie. Man, nobody was out of bounds. So apparently, I was already over in Rescue 2. It was Vigiano's birthday.
Oh my God!
And
no, you didn't.
So, because this is a good story. So Vigiano actually had been at headquarters that day, or had to go to headquarters the next day, and he had his dress uniform over his shoulder. And he had, because he was on the board of merit, he had all of that stuff in his arm. So one of the new guys had heard this whole thing about pie in the face and leave it to the brothers to take it another step. He's on the roof with the garbage can full of water. And as Vidge reaches for the door to open the door, they dump the whole garbage can full of water.
The Vidge.
Every drop hits Vidge. Not
Vidge.
one
We're talking
drop.
about the Vidge.
Vigiano, every drop.
He Class A uniform.
Buckled his knees. He walks in to the house watch, and I'm pretty sure it was Mike Cucurullo was sitting at watch, and Vigiano tells him, whoever did that, I want him in my office now. Cucurullo reached over to the intercom and by name called the guy in the office. Like, didn't even blink.
He knew who it was. He knew
John Smith to the office right now.
Right.
And left the intercom on so that they could listen to what transpired in the office. Part of, I'm not your friend. That's the way it started. In the meantime, in the kitchen, unbeknownst to everybody what just transpired out front, they're all there with the pies waiting for Vidge.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Fortunately, somebody ran in the kitchen and was like, put the pies away.
Ixnay on the
pie.
Yeah, wait till next year.
Yeah.
This is done.
Wow,
Can you imagine if they would have hit him in the face with a pie after taking 55 gallons of water off the head?
Oh my God. Even just a fair
So
story.
really, nobody was off limit then, really. I mean,
nobody was off limits.
I mean, you did that to the Vidge.
Yeah, but
nobody was off.
Not Tony Adamo. They would never do that to or Lieutenant
It was
Graff.
your birthday. You were getting it. Tommy McEnroe, who wound up in 59 truck after they closed 232, he tiptoed into the bunk room. He hit me so hard with the pie, his thumb went in my eye.
So it wasn't even just like the pie. It was like you had to really get a good, smack.
Right.
Too.
So he's like pushing the graham cracker into my eyeball. So I wound up actually having to go to the hospital. My eyeball was completely all scratched up. So, you got to come up with a story.
I was going to say, they didn't ask you how it actually happened, did they?
Some kid, they threw a rock. It had dirt on it. And the doctor's like, that looks like graham cracker. Hang on, what do you want me to tell you? You know.
All right, here's a story that happened at the new house at 176. I was already gone. I heard of it, so I'm gonna kind of like feed you a little bit and tell me if it's true. 176, the new house turned out to be like a little bit of a menagerie. There was a snake there that they used to feed white mice to, and there was an alligator that, you know, I think Pagano was the only one who could pick it up and walk around the fly house with it. It would hiss and all sorts of things. So anyway, the alligator was growing and growing inside this tank, and it got pretty big, and then it eventually died. So now instead of like throwing it out in the garbage, some guy gets the idea, well, let's take it in the basement. There's like a professional meat freezer down there. Let's throw it in there and freeze it.
It'll come in handy someday.
Right. Right. So how much time passes and what happens? Right. Didn't like the firehouse started to smell. The guys would say, well, what's that smell? And, you know, this is like, it's in there for
No, that was years. The snake head.
Oh, the snake head.
That was the snake head.
Right, go ahead, tell the story.
Oh, God. The guy we mentioned before, the guy who went in the refrigerator for the lunch, you know, when you come in,
yeah,
we call him fish eyes because his eyes bulged out of his head.
Speaking of the obvious, always, right?
So, I mean, we had these snake heads in our fish tank, and one of them died. So he was next to the alligator because he might come in handy. You never know. So one of the brothers took it and kind of like wire tied it to Fish Eye's license plate. So 3 days later, he's home and he's got this horrible smell. He finds out what it is.
I never heard this story. Go ahead.
He doesn't throw the snake head away. He holds on to it and brings it back to the firehouse and tucks it in somewhere. So now, within hours, the horrible smell. Oof. And then the search went on. And yeah, that wasn't the alligator. That was the snakehead.
Oh, got it.
So just quick thing. Chief Kleehouse said the Vidge would have been the first to do that, actually. He wrote. Like,
sure. As a fireman, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, but, you know, like I said, somebody dumped 55 gallons of water on them. So they kind of like postponed the pie in the face for the following year.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
But I mean, they went to guys' houses. I got Mike Pagano, I think it was his 30th birthday. His wife threw him a surprise birthday party at his house out in Babylon. And I made sure I was like the last guy to get there. And I stopped at the diner and picked up one of those chocolate cream pies, 9 inches high. Ring the doorbell. Mike answers the door.
Wham.
Direct hit right in the face. Whipped cream all over the foyer. So Mike was a big guy. His brothers were bigger. They don't know about this whole pie in the face thing. So I came pretty close to getting slaughtered before somebody like, no. It's okay.
It's a tin house tradition.
Yeah. They went to guys' houses when they were off duty.
Good, I like that.
It was fun.
And actually, we had this buff that rode with us in the tin house, the new house, and eventually came to Rescue 2, got transferred to Rescue 2. Jack the Buff. So anyway, I remember it was his Jack the Buff, toothless buff.
That was his name.
Lived in Bay Ridge. Great guy. I love the guy. And anyone who met him loved him. But anyway, it's his 44th birthday. He comes into the firehouse like 2 in the afternoon. He starts a big pot of sauce with me. He did special shopping. His sauce, his meatballs, his sausage. He's buying a meal. He's spending his 44th birthday with us in the firehouse. It's Saturday night. And because it was kind of like if you got pied, you remember the firehouse. He wanted to get pied, and he did get accommodated. I think Mike Cucurullo eventually got him. He wasn't looking and came around the corner and pow. And then once he got pied, he wanted a picture taken of him with the pie on.
Oh, he was all having
it meant so much to him because it was his rite of passage that he was fully accepted as a member of the tin house. And eventually, actually, when we moved to the new tin house, the pole got cut out of the tin house and was cut up into individual pieces, and each one of us got a plaque with our name, the date of appointment to the engine of the truck, and a
over your left shoulder, cuz
on the plaque. Yeah, it's up there somewhere. And even Jack the Buff got a plaque, and that was
nice.
that was like
Yeah,
his
nice.
prized possession. You know,
Nice.
God rest his soul.
One last story about pies and
Go ahead.
birthdays. We got a brand new probie in the firehouse, and we explained to him, the whole pie thing. And somebody tells him that it's Pepe's birthday, which it wasn't. And he's the senior guy in the engine, and so now the probie wants to fit in.
Oh my
So
God
he
Almighty!
takes the pie, and because it's not his birthday, Pepe doesn't have his antennas up. He's not expecting it. The guy takes the pie, comes from behind him, from in front, and pulls it into his face like a steering wheel and starts turning. And that's when Pepe's like, what are you doing? It's not my birthday. Now the guy's like, okay, I learned 2 lessons. Birthday, you get hit in the pie, and never believe anybody in the
Don't
firehouse.
trust anything in the firehouse. Oh my God! How many times?
All right, I have a Pepe story. You have to know Pepe to like he's not firing on 8 cylinders up there. And senior man in the engine, he drove. He was the captain's chauffeur, Captain Morrow's chauffeur.
Well, before that, he drove Sheridan.
Okay, well, lucky Sheridan. So anyway, Captain Morrow told me the story. He goes, you're not going to believe what he did now. I'm like, Cap, calm down. Have a cup of coffee. What happened? So Pepe lived in Brooklyn, and going home, he always went home the same way. So he'd go down Eastern Parkway, make a left on Howard Avenue. At Livonia Avenue, go underneath the L, and he'd be out on Kings Highway, and he would head home that day.
He lived on Kings Highway.
Okay. All right. So anyway, what he had to do one morning, he had to get out like a little early. And so it's like 8 o'clock or so, and he's standing by house watch, and he's waiting for someone to come in to relieve him to drive, and they get a run. And the run is to Howard and Sutter, which we went there like once a day for something stupid. And it's the same route that he would go home. So, the run comes in, Pepe gets in the rig, he drives, goes to Eastern Parkway, makes the right, goes down to Howard Avenue, makes the left, and now he drives past Howard and Sutter, and he goes a couple blocks to Livonia under the yellow, and he keeps going. And the captain tells me, I turn to Pepe, where you going? And Pepe turns to the captain and says, well, Cap, what are you doing in my car? And the captain turns and goes, Pepe, are you kidding me? Mr. Running goes, hey. It was never his fault. Now he's calling Captain Morrow cuz. Cuz, it's not my fault. My computer was locked in going home, and it's late, and I got confused. Right, Bobby?
Holy shit.
This guy Pepe that we're talking about, we won't use his whole name, but he got plugs. He was one of the first people ever to get plugs. And
Experimental. Go ahead.
So some of the guys would like trim their hair and leave it on Pepe's pillow. So he thought he was some of his plugs. I mean, he was cooking. It was all good-natured. I thought it was hilarious as long as you're not the target.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
No, with the hair on the pillow, they said, well, I remember like in those days, they said, Pepe, what does cost you the hair? And he goes, like $5,000, which was like an incredible amount of money. And
for like 300 plugs.
Yeah, and so now like they'd show him where his bunk was, because the tin house was on the first floor there.
God.
And he sees that, and now he calls up the doctor, and the guy's like on the phone with me. He's cursing this doctor out, like
my head's fucking falling out.
Like a truck driver. Remember, it's out of control. Out of control.
I got one question we had from the chat. This is from Fred Caramiello. Hey, Bobs and Lou and Pete and Coobs. Fellow Guido here. Question for you, two fellas. Having worked through such a good era, what was the busiest tour, if you could remember, that you worked that you had the most fires in one shift? I mean, I know that's tough to do.
Written down right here, kid. Look at that.
Yeah.
Bob,
I mean, I can never really remember all that stuff either.
Your first tour in Rescue 2 in Brothers in Battle, when the wall, there's that big fire at the hat factory and the wall.
Yeah, that wasn't my first tour, but that was a good night.
Was that like 5 jobs?
From quarters, we went to that job, and it wasn't the first job of the night. That was the hat factory. What was that on Carlton Avenue?
Like Grand Avenue in St. Mark's.
Yeah, down over that way. So that was what was that? 111 actually I don't even know how they got their rig moved because they needed an asbestos suit. The whole factory was out every window. And then on Dean Street, the 2-story, 3-story brownstones, then we wound up having to evacuate all of them because we lost them. Because when the hat factory collapsed, it collapsed on those buildings. We took up from there. We were on our way back to quarters, and I think it was Warren was the dispatcher. He says, "Listen, guys, take in this box right off Eastern Parkway. Rescue 2 to Brooklyn, 1084, transmit a second alarm." We worked at that. We get back on the rig, we leave, and just as we're getting back in the quarters over the voice alarm, Warren's like, "Hey, Rescue 2, go right back to the same block, other side of the street." Off we go. We get back. Rescue 2 to Brooklyn, 1084, give us a second alarm. So, and that was all basically bang, bang, bang. Got back to quarters. I had been studying for the lieutenant's test. I took my books, threw them up on top of the locker, said, "I'll give up one test to this." I wound up staying 18 years.
Those were the books that we drove out to Staten Island. To that guy Marshall's house. We got the books. We went for pizza at like Nunzio's, and they were our books. So our lockers were next to each other, and the books were in a milk crate on top of our lockers. It just got an inch of dust on it. No, they were never open.
They never got touched again. They stayed there.
Yeah.
Hank said the hat factory was off Clausen.
Clausen and Grand State Marks.
That was an unbelievable job.
They made those into luxury condominiums, believe it or not. Like about 8 or 10 years ago, I was driving through.
Yeah, they're sipping cappuccino over there now.
Are you kidding me? I can't really tell you the busiest tour, but I will tell you what happened. In Rescue 2, I was working a Friday night. Jack the Buff rode with us. And the next day, Saturday day, I got overtime. So Jack the Buff stayed, and he worked at 24. And we did like a lot of things. And at the end of the 24, he said to me, "Do you know what you just did?" I said, I have no idea. He said, "You did 25 runs and you worked at 7 jobs." And I remember I was living in Flatbush, Brooklyn at the time. It was like 5 miles to get home. I went home. I went like right to bed and like didn't move until like after 10 o'clock mass, whatever. But forget it. It was, you worked. Not every tour didn't happen all the time. There were tours where there was nothing going on, a few runs here and there. But there were tours where it was really busy. And where if you're in these companies, a first or second due truck, or when the shit's really bad and the rescues or squads, you get a piece of it. You're at the tip of the spear. You're pushing it. You're making, the destiny of the way this fire is going. You're taking control. You're trying to take control of it and move it in that direction. And Bob, you can attest to that. Time after time.
Remember that show that came out, The Bravest?
Yeah, sure.
So it was their first night riding with us. It's 2 a.m. The camera crew's bitching that they're exhausted. Meanwhile, we're the ones working. And
I don't know.
They just ran out of film. Like they didn't expect what happened. They were freaking out. Like we don't have any more film. We got to get back to the fire. We got to get film. And with that, you hear Brooklyn to Rescue 2, take in box, blah blah blah, Fulton Street.
That's great.
And they're like, "What's that?" I said, "We're going to another job, and you're not going to be able to film it." I don't know what to tell you. It was a great night. It happened all the time, but like Rocky said, not every night, but often enough. That's why we started putting Mountain Dew in the soda machine so you could get home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you never slept all. There were never any times at night where I remember sleeping all night. Oh, Bob, something I want to talk about. Shootings. When we were in Rescue 2, if you were an assigned fireman in Rescue 2 and you worked the course of a year, you heard no less than 1,000 gunshots fired in the course of a year. No less than. Bob, will you attest to that?
Really?
That, if Pete Martin was working, he'd tell you what type of gun it was.
Right.
That's Petey's guy right there.
Just go back, Bobby. You were there the time that it's the day tour. The cops are coming down the block. This, that, the other thing, and the guy
They shot at
runs.
the cops.
Yes, but he had that Tech 9 machine gun that he threw in the garbage. Go ahead. Tell that story.
So we're sitting in the kitchen and we hear bam, 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 bam. We're like, "What the hell was that?" it was 4th of July day. Ray Smith was on a detail from Squad 1 to Rescue 2. Ray wound up working in Rescue 2 as a fireman. I go to the door. I open the door. I look, and the cop car is on the sidewalk facing the wrong direction. It's all shot up. The doors are open. 2 cops are out, guns out. They're screaming on the radio, 1013. 2 patrol cars, they come flying down the street. They never even came to a stop. Like they slammed on the brakes, the trunk's coming, they all dive in the car and they take off. They're chasing somebody. Fischler's screaming at us, get back in the firehouse and shut the door. And we're like, no, this is interesting. Yeah. The city bus pulls up and the bus driver looks out the door and he's telling me, look in the garbage can. Like, what? He goes, in the garbage can. The big metal garbage cans in the park. So now I leave the firehouse. Fischler's doing somersaults. Ray Smith comes out. He's following me. So we run down. We look. And right on top is one of these. As it turns out, it's a Tech 9. So we're like, we got to take this because if these cops wind up shooting somebody, they're going to need to prove
that they had a gun. Right.
But I think I must have watched CSI too much. I didn't watch it. I didn't touch the gun. I didn't want my prints on it. We grabbed the gun, me and Ray, and we run back to the firehouse with it. We bring the whole basket into the firehouse. We shut the door. 15 minutes later, the block is crawling with cops. Cop cars everywhere. And they're all looking around. They're looking for the gun that we got. And I'm like, hey, Sarge, can I talk to you for a second? And he's like, we're busy. And he gives me the face and he gives me the hand. I'm like, okay. Sarge, can I talk to you for a second? Can't you see we're busy? Like, okay, so you don't want to know about the gun and the garbage can that they used? Whoa, now he's my best friend,
Now he's your buddy.
But the other cop, the guy that I guess that was driving him, the patrolman, he reaches in, he just grabs the gun. He goes, how many rounds did you let off? Like, what? And he's handling the gun. No fingerprints on them. I'm like, okay, last time I watched CSI.
That shit don't work.
But, they were shooting at the cops.
Yeah.
No regard, no consequences.
What was it on New Year's Eve, right? It was like at 12 o'clock. It was like incredible. Like you said, you could hear 500 shots going off. Like they used to
had to run one night, 2 minutes before midnight. We're going down St. Mark's towards Bushwick, towards Brownsville, and sure enough, bing, midnight, boom, 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 boom. Ruvo just turned to me and goes, take the rig back to quarters.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He goes, no, back to quarters.
And they would just disappear. Even the cops, you would just never even hit. You'd hear the going off the L, like off the train trestle over there. It was crazy.
I'll tell you, one New Year's Eve, I was working. Mike Penna was working, I remember. And like 2 minutes after midnight, we had a run. So we pull out of quarters on Bergen Street. And just as we turn and start shooting up Bergen Street, a guy comes out from between the firehouse and the park there with, a semi-automatic pistol. And now we start shooting shots at us. And we're like, we dive down the back of the rig, we're hitting the floor, we're covering up. None of us wanted to get hit. And like, no consequences if the guy had killed any of us or, maimed there. I mean, these people, they're nuts. Around the firehouse, I could tell you of a number of people that I saw shot and killed.
Oh,
and I never really saw anyone. They were good shots. I never really saw anyone wounded.
They were always dead.
Good. Yeah, dead guys. I don't know if you were in the company at the time, Bob. At the corner of Bergen and Albany, there was a bodega there, and it got held up one night. There were these 3 Arabic guys that worked in there. Nice guys. They killed all 3 guys. Now, like I'm saying, they robbed the bodega. What did they get? $800, $1,000.
Yeah,
they took 3 lives. There's no
regard for life.
They're like when people say to me, they're mentally challenged. And this, I said, no, there's bad people you just never dealt with. You don't know. They're out there and they will hurt you, your children.
That's what I say, Rock. I say that all the time, right? People who, unless you see that firsthand, right, how bad people are. The people who are marching in the streets, a lot of times they don't know what's that.
They don't know. I will tell you, in New York City in the early 90s, the homicide rate was like 2,000. Keep in mind, you're probably safer in Iraq than, or Baghdad than in New York City.
Yeah.
And I remember that year, 40 New York City cab drivers, most of them were gypsy cab drivers that were killed.
Well, killed, yeah.
One Saturday morning, I was coming to the firehouse. The guy was up on the sidewalk. The cops were there already on Troy, off of like St. Mark's over there, right around the corner. And another guy in the middle of the day, the kids are coming home from school right in front of the Albany houses, double parked gypsy cab, and the guy is there, shot him in the head. It was nuts. A story about guys with shootings and everything. These two guys used to ride with us. They were from Massachusetts. Remember Pete and Kenny?
Yeah.
Pete and Kenny.
Guys, they were Louis Valentino's buddies.
Yeah.
Federal Q off those guys.
Yeah, right. They got the Federal Q siren that when you hit the siren, the cars would get out of the way, but the lights on the rig would dim. It would draw so much juice. But anyway, one time, Pete and Kenny was riding with us alone, and he snored. So he was sleeping in a chair on the apparatus floor, and there's a knock on the firehouse door. And the guys, we had quite a few jobs, are in the back asleep, and he opens up the door, and there's a guy who goes, "Mr. Fireman, there's someone hurt over here." And between the firehouse and the ball field, there was like a little, pathway, alleyway, and there was some park benches there. And so we went outside, and there's a guy like sitting on the bench, with his brains blown out. And like we were all like took it kind of like matter of fact. This is like pretty commonplace around here. I remember he was like kind of like freaking out,
Well, we also the same thing happened one morning. Guy knocked on the door. He's walking his dog like at 4:35 in the morning. Sun's coming up because I think there's somebody who's hurt over on the ball field. And it turned out some serial killer was dropping off the dead hookers.
Really?
All over the neighborhood, Yeah. We walked down the
Oh,
block.
if you're going to drop them off somewhere.
She's laying underneath the bench in the bull, in the dugout, and this guy, they finally caught him, but his number might have been 10 or 11.
Wow.
And he just strategically dropped them, in different places in the area.
Yeah, I actually remember another homicide.
Hold on, Rock, 1 second. Let me just, I don't want to cut you off there. There's a guy in the chat, Dave Port. He wanted to know if you had any Kevin O'Rourke stories, please.
Somebody's got to cut Rocky off anyway.
No, it's all right. I keep him going. Keep him going.
Kevin O'Rourke was the nicest guy on the job.
He really was, man.
He really, really, really was. And I was happy to see that once in a while, like the local kids would come to the firehouse when they needed air in their tire.
Once in a while, it would be 5 times a day.
All right. Oh, they needed air in the tire. They needed something tightened or anything. And
kid 4 times.
I usually help them out and stuff like that. And before I got promoted, maybe a year or 2 before I got promoted, Kevin O'Rourke came from Squad 1, and he kind of was doing it. And I kind of remember that kindness that he showed to when he did it. Would help these kids out. That tradition was still going to go on. That the local kids knew that if they needed help, they could come to the firehouse, and there was someone there to try and help them out. But I only have good things to say about Kevin O'Rourke. The last time I saw Kevin O'Rourke was at the Wallbounds Mass in August 2001. So a month before 9/11. I went to the Mass. He went to the Mass, and then Rescue 2 with the rig showed up at the Mass. And I remember Pete Martin was the officer, and Billy Lake was driving. And I remember Billy Lake had a new tattoo of like an Indian chief, like with a bonnet, the war bonnet on his arm, and he showed it to me. And that was the last time I saw any of those 3 guys. Was at the Wallbounds Mass, But all good guys,
He was there a long time, right, Kevin O'Rourke?
No.
Was he there a long time?
No.
Not in Rescue 2.
He was in Squad 1 for a while, for a long time.
Ruffalo, I think Captain Fischler, because I worked with Kevin in Rescue 2.
Did you?
And I never worked with Captain Ruffalo was never my captain in Rescue 2.
No, you were gone, right.
Yeah, Captain Fischler. So he got there before Captain Ruffalo.
Not by much.
Yeah, not by much. Once I left, you kind of lose touch of.
Right, maybe 90, late, 97, early 98.
Yeah, I got promoted November '97. So
There you go.
yeah. There you go. Want to tell about a big fire story, the Hull Street fire? three frames going.
Every time Rocky does that, Galione goes like this. He goes,
A little chuckle.
he's like listening, then he's like,
I'm looking at the time. We're only an hour and
I'm
41
being told
into
here by text
Yeah.
message.
So that you got
And,
we got about 5 minutes basically before we could.
We're being
get
told
into
that he came in August of '96.
Okay, there you go.
So he was there a while.
All right,
5 years.
wait, producer Pete, we have 5 minutes till we do the lesson.
the old school tip.
Old school tip. All right, so
You know
we'll have to talk fast. I gotta say hi to Danny Pritzker from Squad 41, my buddy out there, and
Thank
mine
you,
and
Joy.
Bobby's buddy Butchie. Hey Butchie, how you doing? And Stefan, how are you? But anyway, okay, moving right
What are
along.
you, Phil Rizzuto?
Announcing birthdays? What?
From the money
Wait
store.
a second. We're telling
Brought
tin
to
house
you
stories
by
about pies in the
Pfizer.
face, and, hot peppers. Let's tell a fire
we
story.
had
can
some more.
leave
We
off.
had some more pictures there, Petey. Didn't we have some more
More
two
pictures.
But, when he's referencing it, I'll bring it up. What
Okay.
story are we telling? Come on.
All right, tell the story.
Pull it up.
This
What are you
happened-
talking about?
I
Pull
got-
the fucking
What are you
picture
talking
up.
about? What picture? He's
I think
telling the story right now.
All right, I'm telling the
It's not
story.
telling anything.
This is a fire on Hull Street. Hull Street, we're in the tin house. Bobby and I have the cannon irons. Lieutenant Graff is working. Kenny Graff, good boss.
This
Not that. It's one of the color pictures of 176. Anyway,
all right.
John Iovino was the chauffeur.
yes,
Hank Seagar.
and
uh,
Kevin
Well,
Donnelly.
Moore
We saw
had the
this one
roof.
already.
Kevin
Yeah,
Donnelly was the OV. You and myself had the inside team.
Right. So what happens is there's these 3 frames on Hull Street right off of Rockaway Avenue. At 102, 104, and 106 Hull Street. They're no longer there. The first building is a vacant building, and we pull up. It's December 1986. The building's fully involved, and on the 2 occupied frames, there's people at the windows. So
Exposure 2 and 2A.
okay. So anyway,
Nice.
John Iovino sets up the ladder. Cornell is going up the ladder. Me and Bobby take a portable ladder. We throw up the portable ladder to the front of the middle frame. There's 3 people at the window, a husband, a wife, and a kid. And we're taking those people down. And as we're doing this,
First, back up.
go ahead, back up.
Our boss tells me, go in the fire building, go to the top floor, let me know what's going on.
Okay.
So I run up to the top floor of the vacant, and when you could hear the train coming through the tunnel? That's the sound. I mean, the cockloft's roaring. I don't even open the door into the apartment. It's the whole place is just one loud roar, and it's vacant. So I come back down. I told the boss, yeah, that's the whole top floor tower ladder. We're not going to do anything in there. She's okay. Now people start popping out the windows. Like I said, they're putting the aerial up. And at this time, it wasn't unheard of while the aerial was moving, if you're the roof man, to be kind of running behind the fly. And as John's putting the aerial up to the roof, people pop up he's putting Cornell to the roof. People show up at the top floor window of 2A.
And I remember it's a woman. She's screaming. She's going to jump. And there's like 4 people behind her that we could see. So John, with Cornell on the ladder, moves the aerial ladder. And now Cornell gets, I'm on the portable ladder taking another woman down. Cornell gets the woman out on the ladder, and the woman is like wrestling with Cornell. So Cornell is like trying to force it down to the rungs and drag it down. And now other people are piling out on the ladder.
I'm getting nervous while he's telling the story.
So as you're pouring, me and Lieutenant Graff, we run into the fire building now, and everything's rocking and roll. 120 is on the scene. However, there's a water problem. 233 is first due engine. It's the chauffeur's first day out of chauffeur school. He can't dead hydrant.
Now I'm getting nervous.
Naturally, right?
232.
Chauffeur school,
232, the guy with the hair plugs is driving. That's another problem. So you're really not getting water. And so it's one of those things. I know from my perspective, what we did was me and Lieutenant Graff went up to the second floor. because the third floor there's like a conga line of guys going up.
They deserted me. They went out on the fire escape and left me to go through the interior.
It was the smarter move. It was the smarter move, Bob. So anyway, I go up the rear fire escape with John Iovino, and Kevin Donnelly, who's the OV, went in through the rear fire escape. So now he's flipping a kid out to me and John. Kid is totally unconscious, and we carry him down to the front yard of the building, and of the three buildings. And now, like the two of the frames, the fronts are all like on fire. It's like daylight. There's no water on the fire. And as we laid the kid down, I remember John like threw his legs off to the side in the front yard, and I like, put the kid down. And John goes to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, let's do CPR on this kid. Maybe we could save him." And John was a senior guy. He'd say, he goes, he's obviously dead. With that, the kid's mother jumps into this front yard. There was like a little fence there, and she's over me and she's screaming and everything. So I tilted the kid's head. In those days, you gave mouth to mouth. So I tried to get some air in him. I couldn't do it. I repositioned his head. Tried again. I couldn't get air in him. So I reached into his mouth and I swept and I pulled out a black ball of phlegm. And I remember it had weight to it. I flipped it off to the side. And I went down again. And now I could see him getting air in his lungs. With that, Kevin McCabe from 227. 227, I have to say accolades. Great engine company. Eddie Higgins was their captain. You know, they don't come.
Good guys.
Yeah, all good guys. They're all broken in the right way. Kevin McCabe comes over and goes, "Rock, what's going on?" I said, "Start giving him compressions. Maybe we could save this kid." So between me and Kevin, we had a good cadence going. I go, "Hey, Kevin, stop." I felt for a pulse, nothing. Let's do another few cycles. I felt like a little pulse. It was fleeting.
It's the end of the story, cuz.
Went away. Okay. So now again, third. All of a sudden, EMS is there. I stop, feel the pulse. With that, the kid takes a breath. We threw him on that thing. In the meantime, I look, 227 has his sister in a snowsuit on the hood of the car. They're giving the sister CPR with it. Okay, let's get back to Bob. Bob, what happened next?
I'll tell you, the apartment that they pulled those kids out of, that was one of the hottest top floors I've ever been on. The fire must have, came up, came across, and now was coming down. The roof man, unfortunately, never got to the roof because the chauffeur
pulled
right. He ended up.
He put him in the top floor window. 175 third due wound up getting the roof, but we got our socks knocked off on that top floor. I know that I searched most of that top floor, and as I got to the last room, Kevin Donnelly just comes out of the room, and he's like, "Did you find anybody?" I'm like, "No." He doesn't share information because that the mother was on the fire escape telling him my daughter's in there. So he goes right back in the room. I go with him. He searches the bottom bunk. It turns out it was bunk beds, and he's like, Kevin and myself, we got along very well. We worked together many years, and we had this little rivalry going. He goes, "Bro, you're taller. I had to stand up to get the top of the bunk beds, and there's nobody there." So he knew the only spot left was between the bunk bed and the wall. And sure enough, that's right where the girl was. And he yanked her out, and right back out the window. He never shared the information.
It's like a fishing spot, right? It's like a fishing spot.
Oh, no, it was all good, because I got him once or twice too.
Right.
So, it was a little bit of a competition. But Kevin, I mean, we've talked about Kevin before. He was still a probie in 222. They went on near arrest, no contact, and then they filled out the box. But 222 got there early. He threw up a portable, wound up pulling a kid out, gets fireman of the month. He wound up getting a medal. Whoever the commissioner was, is there anything you want? And he pulls right out of his pocket his transfer paper to 176. And
nice.
On there, like the transfer paper actually used to ask how tall, what was your height? Because tall guys went to trucks, short guys went to engines. He had the nerve. He put down 5'11".
5'11" Kevin.
5'11" Kevin for years.
And how tall was he?
5'6", 5'7",
5'11" Kevin. That's fucking great.
That went on for many years until we moved to the new firehouse. We were at an EMS run, young girl working in EMS. she started calling him Kevy Love, and that was the end of that. 5'11" Kevin went away, and he was Kevy Love for the whole rest of his career.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
The great guy, Kevin. I mean, I can't tell you how many laughs we had, how many great parties we went to. And I actually used to talk to him a lot to come to SOC when he was a fireman still in 176. Like, Kevin, come. You'd love it. But he didn't want to dive. And then when he got promoted, he wound up in 3 truck with Patty Brown.
Patty Brown, right?
And, that was the end of that. We weren't going to blow him out of there. And then, unfortunately, 9/11 came along, and that was that. But Kevin, oh, man, we used to laugh.
Yeah, great fireman, great guy,
We were very fortunate, all of us. Actually, in Proby school, we're standing in line. I went to Proby school with Kevin Morciello, who used to drive Gansey. A bunch of us were all in the same Proby class. But while in Proby school, some boss comes and taps me on the shoulder, says, the chief wants to talk to you right now. What's up? Go upstairs. Chief wants to talk to you. So I break out of line. I run upstairs, and the chief starts gutting me and ripping me apart. What the fuck is wrong with you? Drinking while you're driving in uniform on the Grand Central Parkway, 4:30 in the afternoon, and he's working himself up. I'm like, I waited for like a little break. I'm like, Chief, I live in Brooklyn. I don't drive on the Grand Central Parkway. And he's like, Morciello, stop lying to me. I'm like, Chief, I'm Galione.
Different Italian guy. We don't all look alike.
The haircut, the mustache, Proby school, 2 guineas. We looked alike. He goes,
holy shit.
The officer comes in. He goes, I told you I wanted Morciello. He goes, I thought that was Morciello.
That's fucking great.
So I run back. I get online, and Steve is like, what did Chief want? I'm like, I don't know, Steve. How about you tell me when you get back?
Good luck.
So off it goes. And it was Morciello, Kevy Love,
5'11" Kevin.
Heavy D,
Oh, nice.
and this other guy who actually had been a baseball player for the Cleveland Indians and wound up getting hurt or whatever. He wound up Mayette. They knew better than the rest of us, so they filled up a cooler with beers, had it in their trunk. So on the way home, because we went to Proby school in the middle of the summer, they'd have a cold beverage for the ride home. Never knowing that the chief lived in the same neighborhood. It was in the car behind them while they were on the Grand Central while they had a cold beverage. Unfortunately, I looked like Morciello, and I spent 10 minutes getting my insides ripped out for something I didn't do. But who knew Steve would wind up driving chief of department?
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask one before we get to the old school tip of the day. Have both of you guys been to the new firehouse yet, Rescue 2?
I have.
And what's your thoughts on it?
Because I worked in the new firehouse in 176, I kind of thought it was nice. They're moaning about it. I'm like, guys, you now have air conditioning, you have heat, you have running water. The place is spotless. You were working in a ghetto. The building itself was a ghetto. To me, I like the building. It's huge.
Right.
They might wind up, if they were smart, they'd get 4 guys right out of Proby school, have them assigned to the company. You go to all the fires you want, but you have to clean the firehouse. 1 in each set of groups, because those guys aren't going to clean it. The place is huge.
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
It's huge. It is huge.
What do you think about where it is as compared to Bergen Street? Is it a better place for them to be, or are they getting...
So Phil Ruvolo was the captain at the time. I was still working. He came in the kitchen, and the city had given him a list of places where he could have his new firehouse. He had to pick one out. I looked at the list. I looked at it real quick. I said, come on, Cap, get on the rig. Let's go. We'll take a ride. Let's go look. And I took him to every other spot on the list. the last spot, I pulled up to the corner of Saratoga
Sterling.
Avenue and Eastern Parkway. Hit the brake. He's looking at the map. He's looking. Because I guess we found our new home. We get into the 4-1 Battalion 8 to 9 minutes faster than they did when they were on Bergen Street. I mean, 111, God bless him, great place. Not too much going on up there anymore.
Nah.
Nope. The 4-1 Battalion, Brownsville, I think they were in the new firehouse just a few days, whatever it was. They were given 1075s.
Yeah,
on
first two
Kings
job over
Highway
there.
and East 98th Street. They're in a good
That's
spot.
happening all over. Yeah, that's
They're in
happening.
a very good spot.
They get to Eastern Parkway, so that's like a main thoroughfare, right? I mean, you could go
Eastern
straight
Parkway,
across.
Howard Avenue, Kings Highway. They're all right there. Bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang. And even going up the other way. Again, jump on Eastern Parkway, shoot around, you're right into Brownsville.
Yeah.
Or if you stay on Eastern Parkway, right up to Broadway, you're right up into Bushwick.
Good spot.
It's for them. I'm a little jealous. I'm not, I'm gone 13 years already, actually.
Are you really that long? Holy shit.
Yeah. November 5th, 2008 was my last run on the fire truck.
Wow.
Older than dirt.
And I retired December 28th, 2008. Dropped in both papers, told them, you figure it out, give me a call.
And the rest is
Actually,
history.
what was funny, Dr. Maloney was, I guess he was the senior medical officer at the medical office. He goes, listen, I got to put you on light duty. And I'm like, Doc, I never was on light duty in my life. B, I actually put in my retirement papers. So he goes, what day? I said, December 28th is my last day. So he puts me light duty December 29th.
Good
I
man.
swear to God, I'm home in bed. I'm sleeping. 9:15, the phone rings.
What are you reporting? You're
I
supposed
answer
to
the
be
phone.
here.
The guy at the light duty desk, where are you? What is it with you guys? You all think you're special. You don't have to show up. Blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not coming to work. He said, you don't understand. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm not coming to work. I'm not coming. I quit. He said, what? I said, actually, don't you get the order with like retirement dates? So he looks at it, he goes, why didn't you just say that to open the
I wanted to torture you.
That wanted to torture you a little bit.
You woke me up. I was sleeping. It was my first official day.
My
of
first retirement nap.
I'm sleeping in.
Nice.
But yeah, 13 years.
Wow. Goes by fast, man.
That's what I was telling Cuz.
He
The
kept
only
going,
thing
man.
You can't do is buy time.
Yep.
Yes, you
You
did
can
say
buy anything else. You can't buy time.
Yep.
Wow.
I like
And
it.
sometimes enough's enough.
Rock, what I used to tell you all the time. What the hell? When are you going to go fishing? Get the hell out of here. You're up at 41 doing 16,000 runs a year. Frig that, man. You were running
He
all
still
over the
hasn't
place.
visited us in Florida yet.
I loved it. I'll be down there. I'll make the visit.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to pay the airfare. You're waiting for it to come down. I got you.
It's not a fixed income, Bob, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. Believe me.
Paycheck to paycheck.
I'm 2 pension checks away from being someone's cleaning woman over here.
He stayed state trade. That's fine. I know the state
dude,
trade.
that one I'm going to use. I like that one. All right, who wants to go first on the old school tip of the day?
Hold on.
Me.
Before,
I'm gonna
before
go
we
first.
do,
Let him play the music first, Petey. Hit it.
yeah, got to do it right here. Everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for the old school tip of the day. Day. All
I
right.
think we've all seen the video. I'm not trying to second guess anybody. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm sure we've all seen the video from last week from down in Texas. Captain Freddie Gallagher's rule of thumb was put the fire out, nobody's trapped. Water, water, water. First line's gotta go to the fire. If you put the fire out, nobody's trapped. Nobody winds up with fire coming up underneath them on a portable. Nobody winds up falling off a portable and getting impaled. Nobody winds up dropping the victim. Put the fire out. I'm not second guessing anybody. They did what they thought they needed to do at that time. But I think if they would have stretched their line, put some water on the fire, it might have been a different outcome. That's it. Very simple.
Oh, very good point. He would actually say, once you get the fire out, all these problems kind of disappear.
Everything goes away.
All your problems go away.
Like magic, you know?
Go ahead, cuz.
All right, cuz, you're up.
All right, I'm up. Pete, you got the picture of the gates, the cellar gates, old school tip. There it is. Okay.
Before you start,
go ahead.
Over on Watkins Street, they had gates like that right out in front of the firehouse. All the kids thought a gorilla lived in the basement. Because when the kids would come out of school, the guys in Watkins Street would go down in the basement and they'd start banging the gates with a broom or whatever and making it shake, making gorilla noises. And the kids just asked, "Can you let the gorilla out?" Sorry, Chris, for interrupting. Go ahead.
All right, this is a pretty common sight throughout the city or wherever you live. These are cellar gates in front of a store. You walk down any avenue and you see these. And once I got promoted and started working out of the area, out of the Brooklyn 15th Division and whatnot, I would see like all sorts of creative ways to open these up. And they're very simple. If you look at the gate itself, it's just lying down in old concrete. So if you look at the edges of it, it's just sitting there. Most times, if you go down to like say the corner, there, take a look. Can you go down a little more? Yeah, see the corners? So that's just sitting there. So guys will get the saw and they think they're going to get the bar that has a lock on it or a chain through the middle of the door there. That you're not going to get it. Best thing is just get your Halligan tool in one of the corners over there and flip the whole thing over. Like they say, locks are for honest people, right? If you see this, and there are times where you may have a newer one, the cement is good, just get the back end of an axe or a maul and bang it around the sides, especially in the corners. Get a little purchase where you can get the adze end in or the pike end of the tool in, and these things just flip right over and out. You know, like I said, locks are for honest people. The other points, old school tips I wanted to make, moving away from forcible entry into cellars and cellar fires, is part of the size up, approaching a building. Like guys, they'll run up to a building. I know speed is important, and I do it myself. But when you're approaching, take a look at the building and even try and approach the building from the other side of the street so you have like a better look at what's going on. And one of the tricks that I would do is, maybe people think I'm a little mentally handicapped, but I will verbalize. I'll actually say, fire on the 3rd floor, 6-story building, front fire escapes, just so I have that reference that's in there. Because out of fire, things can get a little confusing. The handy-talkie transmissions, sometimes they're not as reliable as we get to, different areas of the city. How I know I have my references to go by and to work by as far as that. The last old school tip, it's a little handy tool that Lee Ielpi from Rescue 2 was the first guy that I saw with one of these, and I made it. And I'll show you here. Hang on. How's the? All right. All right. These channel locks. Okay. If you look at them, they're just regular channel locks, and in our business, you need these to shut down gas supply. It's something good like that. Do that. Perhaps if there's a water spigot that you have to shoot and there's only the shaft there without the handle on it, you could use these to shut it. But also, a couple of things. If you look at the backs here, 2 things. I wrap them in tape. Usually I keep one with electrical tape on it and the other one with duct tape on it. It's kind of handy stuff. But also on the back end here, if you look at it, there you go. So I have 2 tools here. This, when I worked in Manhattan, we'd come across a lot of Fox locks. The Fox lock is in a commercial building, and you get up to the door, and there's that plate in the center of the door, and there's a bar. What goes on there is you have to defeat the plate. So with the Halligan or the axe, you break off the 3 of the bolts. The plate, goes down. You pull out the cylinder, and this is a 530. I ground this down to 530 seconds, and you just put it in the center of the lock there, push it in so that the gear will engage, and turn this toward the lower bar. Keep in mind, like, it's 5:30 seconds. Guys would have like Allen wrenches, which they would be in their pockets for years, and they'd lose them. This you're not going to lose because it's on your channel locks, and this way you could defeat the lock that way. Rather than trying to force one of those conventionally, it really is a pain in the ass. The other tool I have on here, I ground it down and bent it, and it's the cam. So on doors to when you get a fire in a store or a bodega, rather than force the door conventionally or break the glass bomb, take it easy. I'm almost there, right? Just put the adz end of the Halligan on top of the lock, hit it with the back of the axe. The cylinder's going to come out. You put this cam tool in there and move it from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and you're going to open the door and get in there. So
I think they sell those now, Rock. Actually, they sell the channel locks like that now. Actually,
do they really?
They do.
Yeah, Buzz. I told you, one. You got one.
One bite. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. One tip. Everybody knows.
I think he was holding that pillow there for prop for the whole time. I think he was
just for a second.
Planning it.
See how it feels.
That's it. I'm done.
Very good.
Nice job, boys.
Nice.
When are we going to pizza, cuz?
All right, brothers. Well, you're in Florida. I'm in New York. So
I'll be back the 10th.
November 10th. All right, very good. Yeah.
We get the shoulder a little more work done. Right after that, we need to do a pizza run.
I'm in. Maybe Pete Coobs and Lou will come with us.
I like pizza. Yeah.
That'd be a good day.
Beats.
I'm in.
Let's make it happen then.
Bobby's on a
Louis
short
and
list.
Ernie's will sit in the backyard and laugh.
Okay, 10-4. Sounds like a plan. Louis and Ernie's up in the Bronx.
All right, don't hang up, Bobs. Don't hang up. Hang loose. We're just going to get 2 seconds. Don't hang up yet.
All right, Petey.
All right, well, guys, we're saying our goodbyes now, but before we do, don't forget we're on iTunes, podcast, Spotify, wherever fine audio podcasts are found, as well as here on youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience, where we have our YouTube channel, of course. And guys, while you're here, remember to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Don't be a bum. It's cheap. It's free. It's free. It's not even cheap. Just hit that like, subscribe, and share. Come on. Also, guys, Instagram, you can find us at Salty Dog Inc. Lots of great fire photos, lots of cool last-minute information. GettinSaltyApparel.com, guys. That's how we pay these damn bills. Also, the super chat. Man, you guys went in tonight. Holy mackerel. Thank you, but these guys are legends, so I understand. Thank you very much for supporting us and supporting the show. If you have questions, like something that we might not have covered, email us at gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com, where these gents will answer anything you ask. I want to throw this out there. Maybe Coobs and Lou, maybe they can go a little outside the box, not just FDNY firefighter questions, but some other kind of questions too. I don't know. Like, go ahead.
For what? For the Q&As?
Yeah, just for the Q&As. Maybe we could throw in a couple of other. How do you guys feel about this? How do you guys feel about that? That kind of
all. Yeah, whatever they want. Doesn't have to be fire related. And the other thing is keep sending the hottest wife pictures, because I'm being inundated now with hottest wives. I am being. I am.
And when you do that,
you don't want to add. Hey, fuck that. You don't want to add the emails. You don't get.
I'm handling all the tough emails. You're getting the ass.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
This guy. All of a sudden, he's interested in getting emails, Lou.
What he used to say all the time. I don't want to add. Don't send me nothing. I don't want it.
So send all those pictures to CoobsPodcast@gmail.com, where Coobs will forward them to me so we can have some serious conversations and rate images. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that is all the news that's fit to print.
I got one shout out. I got Mr. Jay Fury in Rhode Island. I remember talking to him one time because I mentioned my daughter goes to the University of Rhode Island, and we just chit-chatted. And my daughter was in a little bit of trouble during that storm. She got stuck in the mud. Her car got stuck and sank into the mud. And I just happened to remember Jay. I called him, and the guy ran over there and towed my daughter's car out of the mud, got her out safe and sound. Thank you, Jay Fury, one of the brothers. That's the brothers at work, man.
That's a brotherhood.
Yep, that's the brotherhood.
That's really cool, man.
Yep,
that
much
really
appreciated.
Is cool.
And that's all. I want to thank these two legends, dude. My face hurt from laughing.
My face
great stories, great stories.
Thanks,
and we'll do a little pizza.
Bobby G, thank you for keeping
no pineapple on our
Rock in
pizza.
check.
Yeah,
That was my job tonight.
you did a great job.
Holy Christ.
What do we got? Remember, guys, let's see. Next week we got Mike Duggan. And then the week after that,
Big
Roofy,
Mike,
Big
James
Mike.
Gordon Bennett winner.
So we got Roofy's on a hunting expedition. So we'll be doing the rock show and some other shit. And then the following week, we got John O'Connell from Rescue Tree. And then some more to come.
Good boy,
And that's
kid.
all I got. What do you got, Roofy? You done?
That's it, kid.
All right.
That's it.
That's all I got. Gentlemen,
Boys, thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Stay on. Yep.
Our
All right,
Don't
pleasure.
hang up yet. All
We'll
right.
see you next week. Stay low and go, fellas.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. See you at the big one.
Cheers, everybody.